Hi, my name is Hamza Rahman. I'm a graduate student at Aspen University, and today I'll be presenting an educational activity which is part of my graduate practicum. The topic of this presentation is staffing shortage in nursing and technology as a solution. So the objective of the presentation is to describe the nursing shortage and existing solutions um, um, that have been implemented in the past or current to tackle that problem. Explain the different types of staffing models within staffing department. Describe the role of the staffing department and the type of technologies they're using to streamline their workflows and limitations to those technologies, and then talk about the solution that I propose to tackle this challenge of staffing shortage, which will be using technology as leverage, and lastly, explain the roadmap to implementation. So let's begin. Now, staffing shortage, it's been um, a well-recorded fact, and it's been exacerbated in the last decade by following reasons. One being Affordable Care Act that has increased access to healthcare to millions of Americans that were previously either uninsured or underinsured. And then by year 2020, ACA is expected to provide 25 million previously uninsured Americans with healthcare insurance, and that is to add a lot of pressure on the workforce, and especially nursing. Um, then we have an aging nursing population. Average age of a nurse is about 51, so they are expected to retire in a few years. And then lastly, we have baby boomers that are fast approaching retirement age, which will be expected to add some pressure on the providers to seek more nursing care. So what have been some of the solutions offered by different agencies, nursing as a profession, or the regulatory bodies? There's a 2-year nursing degree that one can get in and start practicing. And in my opinion, that is one of the solutions to attract people towards nursing and get them to the jobs. Nursing, relative to a lot of other profession, has a very attractive pay, has a great work-life balance. Nurses usually work 3 shifts per week. And there's also been, as a result of that, increase in number of nursing programs around the country to fulfill that anticipated nursing shortage and to fill the gap on that. There is advanced practice in nursing where it provides nurses a pathway to become an independent clinician, which is also one, in my opinion, one way to attract people in the nursing profession. Now, how are nursing being staffed? So there are 2 main staffing models. One is fixed, and the other one is flexible. Fixed, it relies on a fixed number of nurses for a specific unit. And the way they do that is by looking at the past trends on that unit. So the strength of this model is it's a relatively simple and easy to use and easy to follow. However, the greatest limitation is that it completely ignores the severity of patient needs and acuity of care, and the nursing skills. The flexible model, the staffing is adjusted up or down depending on the acuity and the needs. The strength is that it takes into consideration patient's condition, severity of illness, and acuity of care, and lastly, the nursing skills to provide that care. Limitation, however, is that this model is difficult to calculate, and one may have to use a staffing software to really fully evaluate all the factors and variables to come up with the with staffing. And another limitation is that because of the flexibility, it's constantly evolving, so it's somewhat difficult to sustain. However, this is, depending on the view of the facility, is the future of staffing, and much more appropriate. So the role of staffing department is to deal with the day-to-day operations of the staffing needs, and the needs usually, whether it has to do with the day of the shift or 4 to 6 weeks ahead of the day of the shift. Staffing departments in acute care facilities were really mainly my focus during my research. Consists of a house supervisor as well as a staffing coordinator, and the workflow is depending on the two categories. So if they're doing a 4 to 6 weeks ahead to fill those staffing needs, they will schedule 4 to 6 weeks ahead, and if they're short, they will schedule float staff, or they will look for contract staff via agencies, or they will offer bonuses to their core staff. Now, the complexity is the last minute staffing, which is the day of the shift assignment. So the staffing department, the way they deal with that is depending on the census, in the case of fixed model, and then and or acuities in the case of flexible staffing model. Now, if they're short, then they will start to pool or float nurses wherever they're needed. And if they're still short, they will use the float pool, or start to call their core staff that are off that day to incentivize them by offering financial bonus or pay bonus. Now, if they're still short, they will use per diem contract staff at a premium price using a third-party vendor. In many cases, it's a staffing agency. Now, in this last step, there is no technology solution that is available to connect the nurses that are willing to work with the open shift, and that's really my focus when I present my solution. Now, the technologies that are being used are divided into 4 categories. So we have workforce management solutions, time and attending solutions, employee scheduling solutions, payroll solutions, and predictive analytics solutions. Some of the companies that are offering these solutions are Kronos and API Healthcare. Kronos and API are kind of the main market holders, market share. They own majority of the market share. And then we have Change Healthcare for scheduling, and then Avantas, they offer scheduling and predictive analytics. Limitation to these scheduling solutions: they're very difficult to use. They're not very streamlined. Usually facilities have to buy multiple systems to fulfill their needs. They're slow. They lack modern ease of use. They lack mobile compatibilities. And more importantly, they lack the network effect and kind of the connectivity to create a community staffing network to utilize that as a backup when there is a need or shortage in their core staffing. Now, this is my solution. So the idea is to, what if we connect all the nurses in a given region on a marketplace, and then we pre-qualify them, pre-onboard them for their specialty, and allow them to work any shift whenever they want or wherever they're needed. And the way to do that is, let me explain further. So this easy shift filling will target three main categories. We have workforce management. It will help to streamline onboarding, verification of credentials and qualifications, and opens the staffing department to the whole community within that region, to this community staffing network that will be created. And then it targets employee scheduling. Staffing coordinators can streamline with mobile access and notify via push notification to not only their core staff but also to the community staffing network. And lastly, it will use predictive analytics. The system will help to perform predictive analytics using machine learning technology, where they will learn from the behaviors of the past or the trends in the department from the past to anticipate the staffing needs and staff accordingly. So it solves the issue of 4 to 6 weeks ahead, as well as it solves the issue of the last minute scheduling, both at the same time. Now, potential, huge potential in my opinion. Current staffing solutions are really terrible. The technology is old and outdated. Staffing departments are utilizing workarounds. They lack a full stack approach. So this solution provides a full stack approach where workforce management, scheduling, and all of the analytics are determined in one system, which will help guide the decision making in staffing coordinators. It will be modern, user friendly, to promote adoption and usage. And the predictive analytics and community staffing network are two of the main proprietary value propositions for this solution. Now last, how do we implement this solution? Now, the way I thought about it is to create the platform, invite the nurses in one area to join and get them pre-qualify or pre-verify them, have them on the platform, and then contract facilities in that region and get them on board and extensively train their staffing coordinator to use the platform to its full potential, and guide them through this process. Make the user interface very intuitive and easy to use. Provide mobile access to not only to their core staff, so the communication workflow is easier, but also to the community network staff in the community, to ease the use and also to streamline the communication. And then, of course, evaluate the process, improve the process, and expand to other regions. Now, that in a nutshell is my overall solution, and I really truly believe that this may have some potential to, if not solve the issue of staffing, it can certainly ease that process or that anticipated shortage. So that concludes my my presentation. I truly thank you for watching, and I'm looking for 20 comments as part of the requirement for this presentation. So I would really appreciate if you can leave a comment. It could be anything from feedback to whatever you feel about this process or this solution. Thank you very much.